Welcome. You are about to take a journey to a place of the divine love within with Deborah Beauvais on the Love by Intuition show. For the next hour, allow her to prepare you in becoming a magnet for a profound love-infused relationship by identifying and focusing on solutions through love. Awaken the light within and let your essence shine. And now, here's Deborah Beauvais on Love by Intuition, all part of the Dream Vision 7 radio network.
Welcome, everyone. Bonjour, mes amis. And yes, here I am, Deborah Beauvais, founder and owner of the Dream Vision 7 radio network. We are in our 17th year, and the Love by Intuition show is in its 20th year, so it's hard to believe all these years I've been on radio, and the whole world that surrounds me is radio. So if you're tuning in for the first time, we are a Boston-based, fully producing internet radio station where we have video shows, live shows with no video, anything and everything that you would like. And I would love for you all to tune in. All you have to do is do Dream Visions, all one word, with an S on the end, the number 7radio.com. You can get our apps. You can listen on Alexa. You can listen in the cars. Anywhere you are, as long as you have a piece of technology, you can listen to us internationally and local just down the street. So I have a great guest, and just before I introduce her, this is a live show. Bob is in the house. Our toll-free number is 833-220-1200. You're going to want to call in and congratulate, ask a question to my guest because she is remarkable. Gail Ahlers. She's a renowned Rhode Island artist and sculptor, discovered her passion for art at the prestigious Rhode Island School of Design, which is RISD, and she actually studied art history in Paris. When I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh. So she is an amazing individual. She just celebrated her 10th anniversary for the Empowerment Factory because not only is she an amazing artist, she started a nonprofit called the Empowerment Factory back in 2014. And so she's been amazing with what she has done for the kids in Rhode Island, for all the things that she has accomplished, and so I had to have her on the show. I've actually had Gail on the Kids for Love show back, I think it was 2015, and if you're familiar with the Story Walking Hour, the host, Wendy Fashawn, she has had Gail on her show, so you can just put in the search Gail. Her last name is Ahlers, and different things will come up, and you can listen to the shows previously, and I hope you share the one we have tonight. So welcome to the show, Gail.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Deborah. It's a joyful time to be here with you.
Yes, and it's been years, and you've accomplished. I'm really surprised because, you get so busy you don't get to see what everybody's doing. And so let's start with, how did you get involved with art? Did your parents introduce you to the arts?
Oh, yeah. So my mother, who's going to be 93, God bless her, Gloria, very talented artist. And if it was like a rainy day, we would be making, drawing, sculpting, sewing puppets, playing in the garden, and then my father also, he designed business forms. So today he did what people do with computers, but he did it with a pencil and graph paper. So there was a lot of art. Was something that in the home I grew up in, art was something that we talked about. Art was something that we did. We had art in our home, like we would have art from artists. We had so many different pieces of art that, Vera, very famous towel or designer. Have you ever seen the logo? And I thought as a child that Vera was one of my mom's friends because I'm like, Vera designed these towels, like the concept of people making things, it just was something that was in our consciousness in our culture.
Mhm. And so when did you find yourself actually falling in love with art?
In high school, I would say, I would say I was always a doodler, and I'm very dyslexic. So, like, visual things like drawing and making things and putting things together, I had a relationship with that. And I didn't have that relationship with words. Letters were something that were really... and funny that you would talk about Wendy Fashion because in my life, as you gain different skills and different experiences, people come into your life and you learn things. Like for me, my high school art teacher, she taught us how to make jewelry, and then I end up going to Rhode Island School of Design for jewelry. If I wasn't exposed to that, I never would have known it was an option. But, talking about the skills and the love of art, there's wonderful people who come into your life, and Wendy Fashion was one of those people. And, she helped change my relationship with words. So that's, it's not too late to learn.
We will learn until we expire from the earth, yes. Yeah. So what kind of art, with all the awards that you have won, what kind of art do you really love, and has that changed through the years and today? Is it the same, or are you using different types of materials?
Well, that's a great question because, as I've always been drawn to metal, and I remember the first time I ever saw. I went into a friend's house. We went into their attic. They just bought the house. And there wasn't much in the attic, but there was a jar of rhinestones. And I remember going up to that jar and holding the rhinestones in my hand, and I felt like this is a magical moment. Like I felt very connected to the sparkliness of it. So it's funny how things happen in life and you don't see how they're connected until something else later shows you a different perspective on it.
Yes, that's for sure. And what's neat is the way you described how you felt, because that's how we grow our souls, as I say, and evolve and all by noticing how we feel when we touch something or when we experience something, or maybe it's something someone says and it just clicks. So it's nice to hear that you connected with the sparkle. And have you always dressed with hats and all of that, or was it from that time that you started exploring and because you look such like a doll, and then I can see how the kids would gravitate to you because you're fun.
Yeah, thank you. Well, so you're talking about what my sweetheart calls my headgear. So every day I make a collage on the top of my head to channel joy to the planet. And
you actually make that every day?
Yeah, so like I have long hair, and I usually make a bun, and that gives me the structure that I have flowers and things, feathers and vintage brooches and all sorts of stuff, and just in a very playful. It's like my morning meditation of before I go out into the day. It's sort of like I'm just saying, let there be joy, or here I go to join the day, and it's and also I must say that it is very addictive when you are used to walking through the world and having people see you and smile.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lovely kind of, it's sort of like walking through the world and sprinkling a little bit of happy dust,
Yes. Almost, I mean, I can see you skipping through the streets, and I mean, think about it. Especially in the day and age we live in, people, may not be smiling all that much, and you bring that joy to them and remind them of their inner child. And what's better than that?
Yeah. Well, I think happiness is a choice, and
that's right.
You can't always control what happens in the world. I mean, that is a fact. But what we can control is how we react to things. And that's where the lesson lies. And so I've been lucky enough to have a life that I was exposed to art at an early age. I got to go to art school. I have worked, for over 20 years when I had a gift collection that I sold to galleries and boutiques everywhere from the Guggenheim Museum to Nordstrom. And,
wow.
All beautiful handmade stuff, lovely gift collection. And, I know the joy of being a maker. But I think the thing that blends where I've come from to where I am now is I knew that it was time for a change, and I was just trying to be open and figure out what that was. And I was lucky enough in 2009 and in 2012 to get to go to the WBENC School for Executive Women and really learn more about business and how to make some good choices in business. And I realized these women were there. They were watching their bottom line. They were ready. They knew what was going on. And for me, a lot of it was the making, and that it was time for a change. And when I found in my trying to explore, I went to a neurolinguistic programming class, took the 2-day, then went back for the 5-day. When they wanted to have the 16-day intensive, I encouraged the people who were running the program to rent my studio space, and the Empowerment Factory was born. And,
wow.
It was very much a leap of faith, but at the same time, I was ready for a change. And it was my business that helped fund the Empowerment Factory in the beginning, in the early years. And
right, Ben.
It's really grown into a lovely community of people who are coming together to help others. And we all learn in the process, and we all benefit by being in a community of people that care about each other and the planet we live on.
Yes. So what do you think was within you when you wanted that change and you chose to create a nonprofit for kids and their elementary age, correct? It doesn't go any higher than that?
So when I started the Empowerment Factory, the first part of the year was programming for adults. And it was when I met Wendy that she was doing a writing class at the Empowerment Factory. And we were just chatting one evening, and this idea was born. She had done some teaching, and we made some inquiries, and we were off to the races. And after I started working with the children, I really felt like I had found my place.
Good. So is it presently now, and we'll get into more of it as well, but age-wise, is it for the Empowerment Factory itself is for the elementary kids?
Well, we have some programming for middle school, particularly online nature drawing program that happens during the summer. And we also have paid internships for high school students, and we have college interns and federal work-study interns, and it's really a community that is lots of different layers of people coming together to empower their teammates around them. And then we all working to empower the kids. Because even though I started this, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. What were you about to say, Deborah?
No, you go right ahead.
Even though I was the catalyst that started the Empowerment Factory, the vision for the Empowerment Factory is not centered around me. It's to build a community of people that are helping children. And there are so many places where everyone will admit that, especially since COVID, the amount of anxiety that the general public feels is elevated. And there's lots of other stressors in the world that make life arduous and scary. And so, you know, the Empowerment Factory is working to help the individuals that need inspiration and life skills. And I think even when we're working with the elementary children, a lot of our programs, like Art in the Park, we do that for 20 families at a time. And so we're sitting with the families, we're reading together, we're telling jokes, we're talking about the book that we read, and then we're making art. And it could be, you know, grandma, your uncle, you know, there could be, you know, 6 people in your family that are there experiencing this and doing this together and doing things that are fun and engaging and that brings you joy and explore self-expression. I had one grandmother come to one of the programs and, you know, she started coloring with the pencil. She had never really drawn anything. She did an amazing bird. It was beautiful. And her grandson was our Young Artist of the Year 2 years ago. And so I'm not surprised that she has that skill, but giving them the outlet to do it and giving them the tools. There's, you know, how many kids have said to me, I don't have markers at home? You know,
isn't that amazing?
I would say that's sad more than amazing.
Yes. Well, on my term is amazing that it would come to that, or it would be such a void in their lives when other kids take it for granted that they have these markers or chalk or whatever it may be to create. And that's what I love about what you're doing. There's a lot of creativity. There's that social emotional learning that kids need more now than ever. And that's actually one of my questions to you is, what do you well, first of all, let's talk about, and we've only got a few minutes before we go for our first break, but let's start. How did the pandemic affect you and affect the kids? Because obviously they were not in person. So tell us what happened with your nonprofit and how it affected everyone.
Okay, so your question is, how did the pandemic affect the Empowerment Factory? Well,
yes.
When the pandemic hit, we lost 90% of our funding in one day because all the schools were closed and all the contracts were canceled. And so... and we had been putting all our eggs in one basket. And so I had to go out to every Zoom meeting, every opportunity, and navigate who is doing things in education and who can I partner with. And the Rhode Island Department of Education put out an RFP for a grant, and we applied for the grant, and we were, the Empowerment Factory was one of 5 organizations in the state that did both online and in-person programming. We did in-person programming safely through COVID, and like Art in the Park, we had each family, each child 6 feet apart, and the families couldn't sit with the children. They had to be separate and away. And if someone touched a pencil or whatever, you know, we made these kits. The kids went home with everything. And now we can't. But we're still doing Art in the Park. And now that came out of COVID. And our nature drawing program, which is just amazingly successful, which has 6 different books in it now. They're bilingual, and the children get to learn how to draw an animal. They learn about the animal, and they learn how they can make a difference in the world around them. So,
perfect.
You know, wonderful things are happening, and those programs came out of COVID. So it was a difficult time. But now, the reason we had our 10-year celebration, our first fundraising event last Wednesday, May 22nd, we need to find other ways to raise funds to continue this program. And we need partners. The Empowerment Factory empowers children and their families to have the skills to be successful in school and life. And we need funders, we need program partners, and we need volunteers and interns. And together, with those 3 things, we are doing a lot of good in the world.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Gail. Well, we need to take our first break. Everyone, don't go away. We'll be back in a few minutes. Stay with us. More with Gail Ahlers.
Experience a different yet profound healing with Reconnective Healing. Includes yet expands beyond any and all known forms of energy healing. The Reconnective Healing spectrum is comprised of the full healing and evolutionary continuum of energy, light, and information. It allows for healings that are not just physical, not just mental, not just emotional, yet go beyond that to bring healing that includes the evolution of your very being and essence. Deborah Beauvais, trained and certified by world-renowned Dr. Eric Pearl, offers appointment hours at Seacock Family Chiropractic in Seacock, Massachusetts. For questions or to set up both distance or local sessions, call Deborah at 508-431-1959. Again, 508-431-1959. Or go to lovebyintuition.com. That's lovebyintuition.com.
Calling all authors. Have you been considering an audiobook? Well, look no further. Come take advantage of Dream Vision 7 Radio Network's unique in-house audiobook production, which includes benefits and bonuses from our radio station. Let our knowledgeable staff guide you to create the audiobook you've always dreamed of without breaking the bank. Check out our full one-stop service from A to Z, including the ACX process. Schedule a free consultation by calling 508-226-1723. That's 508-226-1723. Or go to DreamVision7Radio.com.
After narrowly surviving the attack on Sandy Hook Elementary, first-grade teacher Caitlin Royd DeBellis was left searching for answers that would never come. Eventually, she chose to focus on questions that could be answered. How do I make sure this tragedy doesn't define us? How do we get our control back? Those 2 questions led her to found the 501c3 nonprofit organization Classes for Classes. When gifts poured into their classroom, she decided they would help someone else by paying it forward and being kind. This developed into a social network which allows K-8 classrooms to connect so that every student in the United States can learn these crucial lessons. Classes for Classes' mission is to build students' social-emotional intelligence by connecting them to care. All C4C projects are crowdfunded. Any teacher in the U.S. can visit classesforclasses.org. That's classes, the number 4, classes.org. Sign up today.
Delight your kids with an enchanting journey by reading the Paper Doll Kids children's book by Deborah Beauvais and Janine Sullivan. There's even a catchy tune, Kids for Love Song, produced by Bob Sherwood and sung by kids just like yours. The story weaves around 7 paper dolls flying around the world doing good deeds as they bring important attention to our endangered animal friends. There's even a magical ring with a universal message. Kids become interested in service projects, action through compassion, and planting seeds that nurture positive change. The Paper Doll Kids and Kids for Love Song are a production of the Kids for Love Project. Get the book now on Amazon Kindle and the song on CD Baby or iTunes.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
And welcome back. There's still time for the callers, so Bob is in the house and will answer and put you through. It's 833-220-1200. And we're visiting with Gail Ahlers, and she's a renowned Rhode Island artist and sculptor, and she is the executive director of the Empowerment Factory, dedicated to giving children the skills they need to lead happier, healthier, empowered lives. To get in touch with her, you can go on, she has 2 different sites. The first one is her name. It's Gail, Gail. Ahlers is A-H as in happy, L as in love, E-R, S as in Sam.com. And the Empowerment Factory is empowerment, just as it sounds, factory, all one word, .org. And we are talking about the programs that she offers. She has built quite a foundation of community people helping out, yet she still needs help. So if anyone is interested, connect with her and see what you can do to volunteer or especially if you're right there in Rhode Island. And donations, I'm sure, are welcomed. So back to you, Gail. I wanted to talk more about these other programs. And the first thing about the Art in the Park, when I think about that after COVID, the situation, the first thing we needed to do is to get out and get outside with nature and interact with the human race, because we are a species that is designed to interact, to be touched, to communicate. And, the pandemic really did a number on every single person, whether they were one and had problems at home because the mother or the father, wasn't able to take care of them, kids out of school, that affects school, the work, they can't go to work. So, but one of the things, before we get back to I'm all over the place here, but before we get back to the different programs, what do you see is the biggest issue now with kids? Is it the bullying? Is it because of differences? Is it food insecurities? Kids being ostracized because they're different or they're quiet? What is the biggest problem you see now?
Well, it's a very difficult time for many families, and so I can't belittle food insecurity. That is definitely a very important thing. But the Empowerment Factory really kind of tries to concentrate on what we can do and what we are. And I think a lot of the system right now is set up to test these kids to the test. And I can tell you right now, I don't test well. Being dyslexic, I get so nervous when I take tests. As an adult, I was taking a motorcycle ride in class test, and I went in and I spelled my name wrong. I was so nervous.
Boy.
I know. So, I think that the mental health and the thing that the Empowerment Factory is focused on is blending. We're building community by bringing people together. And people need connection, and people need each other. And also our young ones went through COVID, and they didn't learn how to express themselves in a group in a safe and productive way. They were a lot more isolated. They didn't learn, most of them, to read facial expressions appropriately because everybody had a mask on. So
yes.
They're trying to figure out what's going on. And then a lot of them were home, and so they were, with smaller groups, and then you bring them back to school after a period of time like that, and you're expecting them to know how to be patient and how to work as a group. And so I think, we blend literacy, creativity, social emotional learning, and environmental education in programs. Like when the children are learning how to draw one of the animals in the nature drawing program, they're also learning to care about this animal. They're building empathy. Because the more you know about someone or something, the more you can, the more you can make a difference if you know. And
right,
so
it connects to the compassion that we all have innately, but sometimes it isn't used, it isn't utilized or even known. So I can see how your work helps that compassion to surface.
And I think also the teachers are really tired. They've been through an awful lot. So some of our programs, particularly the ones that we're bringing inside the schools, I mean, it's a lovely addition to their school day, and they're learning, whether it's our Trash to Treasures program, and they're learning about, how their decisions impact themselves and the world around them, and that we need to care about the planet, and we need to reuse and recycle and make better choices when we're purchasing things, and that they can do that. A third grader can make a difference every single day by maybe bringing a water bottle instead of using a plastic water bottle, or reusing, really taking care of your clothes and reusing them. Because if you just wore your clothes and threw it out, and that's one of the examples we'll give the kids. What if you just, you got the pair of jeans, you wore them once, and then you just threw them out? Isn't it so much better to use a fork that you can clean and then use again than all these thousands of plastic forks that, so those are just making small change, just the awareness of making them aware that they could be a community hero. They are making choices, and sometimes they're making choices that not only help them, but help the planet. And so, social emotional learning is really a term that a lot of people are throwing around. And I think the easiest way to say that is really emotional intelligence. And when you think of who wants to, if you're looking to hire someone, if you want to give someone a job, you're going to want to hire someone who gets along with other people. You're going to want to hire someone who's got a positive, I can do it, I can try, I can learn kind of attitude, Right. And so planting those seeds for kids at an early age, and then asking them to dream big. What do you want to do? Because, kids need to learn how to have a goal and how to dream big and how to reach. And how many times do you hear it, from an athlete as in fact, it was just that lovely young lady who, Clark, who's the basketball hero that we all love so much.
Yes.
She said, I was a kid and I wrote, I'm going to get a scholarship and I'm going to play in a women's basketball league and, professional league. And she wrote that down in a book. And it's that's powerful stuff to try and imagine a really the best future for you. Ask for what you want, but be polite when you're asking, and if you don't know how to do what you want, ask for help, and that's the secret, is that we all have different skills and when we all work together, I think of the Empowerment Factory like stone soup. That the fable of the man that comes to town and he's hungry and no one will feed him, and he sets up the cauldron in the center of the city and he puts some stones in it, and people get curious. What is this man doing? And they're like, it's like, oh, I'm making stone soup. And he's like, oh, this is delicious. But if I had some carrots, it would be a little bit better. And so someone gives them carrots. Yes. I had some cabbage, and someone gives them cabbage. And the next thing you know, they have a cauldron full of soup, and everybody eats. And that's what the Empowerment Factory is about.
Yeah, that's a good analogy, Gail. Perfect.
Because I may not be an expert, but I think that my greatest skill has been bringing people like Wendy Fashon, like Karen King, like, all our lovely RISD interns, like all the different artists who do art in the park. Jacques Biden and Eclipse Nielsen, and, just it's a community of people coming together. And
so Art in the Park actually has that particular program, you bring in other artists to help with all the 20 families?
Yeah, well, so we bring in different artists, and we also bring in different authors. Like, we had Jeanette Bradley do Something Great. She read her book, and then we did a science project about, an art project at Art in the Park based on her book. And we've done poetry with her from No Voice Too Small, which is one of her books. It's really lovely when you can be using books from local authors. And it's even better when my grant is big enough that I can give those books. But, we have wonderful partners. Like Books Are Wings is a wonderful partner of ours, and they allow us a stream of books. Many of them are used, but, that's okay. Books are supposed to be used. And we give free books to all the kids who show up, and it's lovely. It's people coming together.
Right.
And we need, my big ask of ask for what you want. I say, I want $1 million in funding. And people are like, but I have to stop asking for small amounts because I need for this organization to be sustainable, and I need individuals and organizations like Bristol County Savings Bank. They've been a wonderful funder, and there's people who have come together, like our first fundraising event that we just had, and like the New Providence Big Band gave us a great price, and Connie Pelagi did the catering. It just so many people stepped up, and and so, like, if you can give, or if you know someone who can give, if you can advocate for us, theempowermentfactory.org, and say you work at a company that has a dress down day. We just got a $200 check from an organization here in Rhode Island, Finley's, that they said, we selected your organization because what you do for the community, and this is the proceeds from our Dress Down Friday. And it's just lovely. It's like when people do things like that, and companies like Colette and Techner Apex who came in as sponsors for our big event, and Bristol County Savings Bank and Nordstrom and the Rhode Island State Council on the Arts and the National Department of Education. I mean, all these people are coming together, and that's what we need to keep going.
Right. I saw that Gloria Gemma was a partner, and I'm curious as to what you've done together where they're, for their well-known breast cancer, nonprofit breast cancer.
Well, I personally used to go out on the bus and do some art projects with breast cancer survivors and breast cancer patients. And so I would do some of my projects that talk about dreams and hopes and gratitude. It really, so it was me on the bus, and I would be at different hospitals. I would meet them at different hospitals, and I would do programming with them. And I've done things with senior centers too. And I think I'm interested in doing more public art installations with the kids in our programs, like having more public art. The art that we do with the kids. There was a program through LISC, Local Initiative Support Corporation, and they partnered with us, and they, I think out of the 35 pieces of art, the Empowerment Factory supplied 29 of them to the children in our program, all about mental health. And excellent. So, we're really doing the work. We're really in the trenches. There's not an organization that is as frugal as we are. We are a solid investment. We are responsible. We are impactful, and we need help. And I hope that the people listening today can find it in their heart to advocate for us, connect us with people, donate if you can, and if you can't, just say a prayer for us, and
yes.
So that's really the Empowerment Factory is really focused on elementary youth, because if we can make a difference in young people's lives, their whole life will be different, and they'll grow up and they'll be productive people, part of building a society that is good and just and interesting. Give them the skills now so that they can grow up and build a better tomorrow.
Right. You make a good point, because that's where, those of us that have been around for a while, we know we're doing our work, yet the big changes with the systems and the way the country works, we want to have, we want to focus on the people, the needs of the people, and the kids that are coming up now are the ones that are going to make those changes, because they are coming from their hearts and that compassion and action. That's where, so you're doing your part with these young kids, and it's exciting. It's an exciting time. It's a heavy time when you look at that end of things, but yet it's an exciting time because the changes are coming, whether we're ready for it or not. All the old stuff, a lot of that just has to fall by the wayside. It served a purpose. And now, instead of materialism, it's for the community people.
Well, the world is definitely a place that changes.
Yes.
And sometimes for the better, and sometimes change is really messy. And I think that the kids who are growing up today, I think that, we shouldn't be pushing these kids to be judged by their test scores. We should have a lot more technical training. And if I had a kid, I'd say, consider being a plumber or a carpenter or an electrician, find an apprenticeship, learn a trade. And the kids today, some of the young ones barely know how to cut with scissors. They are playing on tablets, and they're watching movies, and they also, almost all the games that they play have all the rules made up for them. So when we were young and we would gather as a group, and you would be outside and be like, okay, so we're going to play kick the can, and what are the rules? And we'd all kind of agree on what the rules were. And, nowadays it's the rules are in the box, and those are the rules that you play with. And the ability to be gracious and or to collaborate or compromise or share a vision and just like come to an agreement, like, okay, yeah, let's do it that way. All right.
Right. Right. Well, we hold that thought because we need to take our last break. Everyone will be back in 2 or 3 minutes.
Okay.
Take a journey to a place of the divine love within with Deborah Beauvais on the Love by Intuition Show, Monday through Friday at 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. Eastern. Our message is love in the purest form. The light within us all is a guide to recall our beginning, to learn to love self and humankind, and to feel the higher power of our own divinity. To attract love, one needs to be love. Come join us and step into this glorious vibration called love.
Delight your kids with an enchanting journey by reading the Paper Doll Kids Children's Book by Deborah Beauvais and Janine Sullivan. There's even a catchy tune, Kids for Love Song, produced by Bob Sherwood and sung by kids just like yours. The story weaves around 7 paper dolls flying around the world doing good deeds as they bring important attention to our endangered animal friends. There's even a magical ring with a universal message. Kids become interested in service projects, action through compassion, and planting seeds that nurture positive change. The Paper Doll Kids and Kids for Love Song are a production of the Kids for Love Project. Get the book now on Amazon Kindle and the song on CD Baby or iTunes.
Are miracles real? Can you move from mayhem to miracles? 30 prominent authors say yes as they share their high fives and down lows of challenges, abuse, addiction, and love. Experience hope, the magic elixir of miracles, through the personal stories of New York Times best-selling authors James Redfield, Dr. Bernie Siegel, Sister Jenna, Reverend Temple Hayes, and many more. If you like bestsellers, chaos to clarity, and crappy to happy, you'll love crying and laughing through mayhem to miracles. Sacred stories of transformational hope. Available now on Amazon and in bookstores worldwide.
It's a child's job to play, to learn, and to have fun. It's an adult's job to keep them safe. Did you know that 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys will be sexually abused before the age of 18? Every day, families enter the Children's Advocacy Center because a child's courage to tell someone what happened to them. Keeping our children safe starts with a conversation. This is Michelle Aranger, Executive Director of the Children's Advocacy Center. Learn more on how to keep your child safe. Visit cacofbc.org. This message made possible by the Fall River Rotary Club.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
The Empowerment Factory, which is nonprofit, and Gail Ahlers is in leadership. They have actually grown to serve 7,500 children in 10 years. So that's quite an accomplishment. And to get in touch with her, to give a donation, you can go on empowermentfactory.org, just as it sounds, empowermentfactory.org. And her other site is her name, Gail, Gail. Ahlers is A, H as in happy, L as in love, E as in egg, R as in Rick, S as in Sam.com. So finish your thought if it's still in there. Finish your thought before the break, Gail.
You know what, Deborah? I'm so sorry. We've talked about so many things.
That's right.
You know, since we're nearing the end of the show, whatever I was talking about, I really need to make a plea to say, you know, the Empowerment Factory does great things, and we need help. And so I may have said this earlier, but, you know, if you don't ask, you don't. If you don't ASK, you don't GET. And so I'm asking people who may be hearing this, you know, maybe they could donate a book. You know, we've got a wish list on Amazon. They could volunteer their time. They could send a donation. They could direct us in, you know, we do programming, in-person programming in Pawtucket, Providence, and Central Falls, and we have online programming all over Rhode Island. And we need help to find funding so that we can keep these programs free. And so, if you believe in art, if you believe in science, if you believe in giving children the skills to be happier, healthier people, because if you're a happier, healthier person, you are going to be a better learner. Because when you don't feel good about yourself, or when you don't know how to express how you feel, that does not lead to a happy, healthy life. So learning who you are, and everybody's different, and everybody has different skills. And don't compare, love yourself just for who you are, because who you are is really special, and there's nobody else like you. So, live a big life and big dreams, and envision that and pursue that, and surround yourself with kind, smart people.
Well said. Well said. So on the program end of things, which program that's open is in September? Community arts program, and you know what else I love? The kindness cards contest, writing kindness.
Great. Well, the kindness cards are not something that we're really pushing at this point, because that was really important during COVID. So right now, more concentration is on providing the programming and getting that out to children. And, you can find out how to get involved by going to our website, theempowermentfactory.org or empowermentfactory.org. Sometimes there's a DOS, sometimes there's not. Find out about our programs. We have we've got nature drawing this summer for grades 2 through 8 available online. We have art in the parks. We have 5 in Providence, 5 in Central Falls, and about, 15 in Pawtucket, including our Healthy Living community event on September 7th in Slater Park in Pawtucket. As part of the Pawtucket Arts Festival on September 7th. So that's, we have a lot of wonderful programs, and we would love to partner with people. We work, primarily with low-income schools, and trying to give children the skills they need to be successful.
Now, what's happening for you personally with your artwork? What do you see coming up in your future?
That's a great question. I am making an effort to redefine, because I went straight from Ahlers Designs, my company, to the Empowerment Factory. And so I'm looking to redefine myself as an artist and spend more of my time making artwork and making art projects with youth that become public art installations. So I definitely want to have more art in my life.
Good. Yes, because that's
more art and less meetings.
Yes, because that's what feeds your soul, is the thing you love, which is art. But think about it, Gail, what you have created started off with your own love, and then now you've created this community that has a special energy feeding all these kids' minds with goodness, and instilling within them the creativity that can really be utilized to make a difference in the world, and have them find their own little section of how they would make a difference. Because whether you're working in there, utilizing creativity in a job, whether it is a creative job to begin with, whatever it may be, that's when we are the happiest, when we're doing what we love and what feels like our purpose of why we're here on the earth. Yeah.
Absolutely. And everything can be done creatively. I mean,
yes.
There's a thousand ways to make a pizza, you know? I mean,
yes.
there's so many different ways to approach the simplest of things. So I think
yes.
creativity is really developing intuition and your gut instincts, and whether you're making art or whether, you know, whatever industry you go into, I think developing the ability to listen to your inner, stay on course to your inner voice is a good thing to practice, because it's, at the end of the day, it's having sound judgment and really listening to yourself. Because, you know, whenever you've had those days where you're like, oh, I wish I had bought that. When I was at the store, I knew I should have bought that, and I said I should have, and I didn't. You know, and you get home, it's like, okay, so if you listen to that little voice that says, get the peanut butter. when you get home, you get to have the sandwich instead of going, oh, that's right, I was out of peanut butter. Yeah. So, yeah. So,
yeah, it's all good.
You know,
it's
I
all
think
good.
that yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you have
delightful.
Yeah, you have shared so much, and I'm honored to have you on the show, Gail, and I'm going to trust that everyone listening, whether it's today or next week or whenever it may be, that you pass the show on and talk about the Empowerment Factory to help these kids continue, because what a huge projects that you have started, and you're putting your stamp on the earth, on the world, and I thank you for that.
Oh, well, you're being very kind. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the Empowerment Factory. You know, there's with people like Wendy Fashon and Karen King and our board members. I mean, you know, there's been a lot of people who really, you volunteer there or you work there because you really care about what we're doing. Nobody's working there for the money. And there's a lot of good people who have come together who are helping it be what it is. And hopefully will grow and sustain past my time as executive director. Because being the founder, you know, I am very accustomed to working a lot. And I think the next phase for the Empowerment Factory is finding our funding and our program partners for a sustainable impact for its future.
Yes, yes, and you will, and it is. It already has happened. That's what we need to hold the space for. So I thank you again. We need to run. Thank you so much, Gail. And everyone listening, do pass the show. Think about what Gail has shared. Think about all the differences that you could make, whether you're 5 or 95, contribute to a better world, a better planet. And until we come together in love for self, love for others, au revoir.
Are you seeking a clearer path to love? Then tune in to the Love by Intuition show next week. All designed to your highest good. To contact Deborah Beauvais, owner of Empowered Connections, call her at 508-226-1723. That's 508-226-1723. Or link on to lovebyintuition.com. Remember, we are all one, and we are all part of the miracle of love.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.